Okay, let's learn a little bit about fourths. This is from my book, How to Speed Read Piano Chord Symbols, on page 62. You don't need to look at it, but it would be nice if you have purchased the book to follow along. So we're going to start with F. This is the note F, which is just to the left of the three black keys. And a fourth above F is B flat, which is the top or rightmost of the three black keys. So if you wanted to find an F chord, you could start with F and then find the fourth above it, and then you would just take that top note down a half step. So that's an F chord. Okay, let's do the same thing with E flat. E flat is this one, which is the rightmost of the two black keys. And then a fourth above that is A flat, which is the middle of the three black keys. So if you start there, if you would take the top note down a half step, you get E flat. Now the reason I'm starting with fourths is that you can use fourths to build so many different things. For example, if we start with E flat, we go down a fourth, which is B flat, and then up a fourth to A flat. So you've got these three notes. And then you take the top one down a half step, you get a full E flat chord. So fourths are everywhere in music, and it's really nice to understand music in terms of fourths, because when music moves around the circle of fifths, what it's basically doing is the root is going up a fourth each time. Music is built on fourths. That's why I'm teaching you these chords based on fourths. So let's look at our next one. Let's start with D flat. D flat is the leftmost of the two black keys, and G flat is the leftmost of the three black keys. So if you start here, that's your starting position for all D flat chords. Then you take the top note down a half step, and you get D flat. And let's do the same thing with C. So if we start with C, you go up a fourth to F, and then you take the top note down a half step, you get the C chord. So let's talk a little bit about how to find fourths. If you use white keys, pretty much you're going to skip two white keys. So these are all fourths on white keys. The exception is between F and B flat, because F to B is not a fourth. You can kind of hear it. It has a different sort of sound. So you just have to memorize this one. F to B flat is a fourth, and F sharp to B is a fourth. But other than that, between white keys, you skip two keys. So for any white root, if you wanted to take that note and go up a fourth and then down a half step, you could have a chord. And what I'm doing in the left hand is just repeating this note, the root of the chord, twice. Once here and then once down an octave from there. So let's do the same thing with D. You could start here and go up a fourth and then take it down a half step, and you have a D chord. And then if you want to add a little bit richer sound to it, you could also go down a fourth and add this note. So if you go up a fourth and down a half step, and then from the same note down a fourth, you get that nice full sound. You can add all three of them. So that's using the white notes. Fourths between black keys, you skip one black key. So E flat to A flat is a fourth, you just skip G flat. C sharp to F sharp is a fourth, you just skip D sharp. Now the exception again is F sharp to B. This is a fourth. If you just did F sharp to A sharp, that would not be a fourth. So you just have to memorize those two exceptions. So once you've found your fourth, you can build your chords from there. So you found, here's the root, and then the fourth, down a half step, and you've got a chord. So let's go back to page 62 in How to Speed Read Piano Chord Symbols. We already did F, E flat, and D flat. Now let's do F sharp, which we were just looking at. So the fourth above it, remember, is the exception, F sharp to B, and then you take it down a half step to A sharp. So that's an F sharp chord. For E, which we looked at a second ago, E to A is a fourth, then down a half step to G sharp. That's an E chord. D chord. Start with your fourth and then go down a half step from the top note. That's a D chord. C sharp or B flat. You can call it either one. Either C sharp or D flat. And go up a fourth, down a half step, and that's your C sharp chord. G is right here. Just go up a fourth, then down a half step. So fourths are a really nice way to find chords, and eventually you get in the habit of just kind of gravitating towards that fourth shape and then moving around from it. For example, if we want to take any of these and make a major seventh chord, instead of just bringing the top note down a half step, you'd bring both notes down a half step. So if we start with F, and then here's the fourth above it, instead of just bringing the top note down a half step, if we bring them both down, you get an F major 7. You'd still be playing F in the left hand, but then you'd be playing E and A in the right. Let's do the same thing with D. You do D and then a fourth above it, and then take the top note, both of the top two notes down a half step. And that's how you find major seventh chords. By thinking this way, it really helps you relate all the different types of chords. So, for example, with D, we have D major 7, and then if you take those both down another half step, you get D minor 7, like D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So you can, if you start with the root and the fourth, if you take the top note down a half step, you get a major chord. If you start with the root and the fourth and you take the top two notes down a half step, you get a major seventh chord. If you start with the root and the fourth and you take the top two notes down 2 half steps each, you get a minor seventh chord. And the other type that we haven't talked about yet in this video is if you take the top note down a half step and the middle note down 2 half steps, you get a dominant seventh chord.